Hi, my name is Jessica. Welcome back to the 4-part video series for the Serenity House of Flint, connecting our mind, body, and spirit, enhancing this connection through the use of essential oils. So in our first video, we sort of went through an overview of the history of essential oils, how they're used today, the different modalities and ways that we can use them, and then some safety precautions. In the next video, this one, we're going to focus on the mind in this mind-body-spirit connection. We're going to discuss a little bit about how our thinking and our emotions have been affected by the current climate in our human world, the pandemic, and how it's affecting all of us. I'm going to go through some of the ways that we are physically affected by our stress and by our emotions, and then I'm going to go through the ways that these 6 oils specifically can help us to realign our emotional state. That way we're getting our first of the 3 items in check and in line so that they can all connect in a cohesive whole and well-being. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about in this video is trauma. So it's very insidious and it seeps in slowly sometimes. I mentioned in the first video that trauma, by the word alone, has an association of a very strong event, something like an accident or some type of abuse, something that sticks out in the mind as an event. However, long-term trauma can also occur. What's going on right now in our world with everybody having all these changes all the time, sometimes very quick changes without any way to prepare our mind for that information, a lot of fear running through the body. These things have been causing, mixed together, a slow trickle of trauma, kind of, like an intravenous drip drop of trauma along the way, something that we might not notice or be affected by immediately. We might think that we're doing our everyday business and taking care of life pretty well, managing, but sometimes this may manifest in things that we're not even realizing are happening. It's important to recognize these things, to nip them in the bud, to start healing this trauma slowly but surely along the way, so that at the end of the pandemic or at whatever time it catches up with us, we don't have a big gaping wound that we have to dress, right? We're dealing with our trauma in little doses all the time, noticing its manifestations, giving it, noticing, acknowledging it. That's a big thing, just saying that I'm acknowledging right now that this is traumatic for me. That in and of itself is very powerful. So our emotions as human beings can get really out of hand during times like this. Anger, fear, resentment, anxiety, depression. These things have a very strong impact on not only our mental well-being, but our physical and our spiritual well-being. That's why we're talking about this connection, because it's all connected. This interweaving, interwebbing of these 3 things as one make us who we are. So if we were to leave out one part, we would not be healing all of ourselves at the same time. So pinpointing where this manifests in our bodies and in our thinking process is important. Sort of noticing when another change happens immediately, what is our response? What is our thinking patterns? Possibly even writing them down is a way to simply start acknowledging. Not worrying about the healing or the processing, acknowledgement would really be a great first step in noticing that. The pandemic has been causing, emotional fatigue, especially in first responders and essential workers. I don't want to leave anybody out. In fact, it's probably affecting most human beings. Doesn't matter what your job is or if you have children or not. It's a very stressful time. This is causing harm specifically to our central nervous system. Now, the central nervous system, of course, is your brain and your spinal cord and all of the nerves in the body. They're all connected as the central nervous system, which is like the epicenter of how everything in our body works together, right? The physical sort of comes after everything gets processed through the core, the brain, and the spine. We have 2 different types of nervous systems. One is called the parasympathetic nervous system, and one is called the sympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is our relaxation response. This is when everything's going okay, when our body starts to switch into healing, when our body naturally knows we're safe and secure. Then it starts to heal the body via hormones, neurotransmitters, chemicals that are actually made in the body, and they start to flow about and heal all of the damaged systems. Now, the sympathetic nervous system is the opposite system. This is our flight or fight response. This is what happens when we are confronted with trauma. It's incredibly powerful. The climate that is affecting all of us, it's manifested in bodily symptoms, anxiety, depression. One of the things that is most currently happening right now is something called adrenal fatigue. Adrenal fatigue is when the adrenal glands, which are located above the kidneys, are sort of overworked. They are overstimulated. This is caused by a long-term, gentle, subtle amount of stress, right? Human beings, maybe back in the day when we were created, we had stress like, oh, a bear was going to chase us, so we need to quickly produce some cortisol and some adrenaline to possibly run away or to think quickly on our feet of how to survive. But what's happening now is every single time we get an email from school, every single time there's an announcement on the news or we hear a news report in the car, our adrenals are kicking on again and again and again. And this is causing fatigue and burnout. This is caused by stress, right? By these stress reactions. So if we can limit those, then we can sort of halt that over-functioning adrenal gland, and then we can start to work on the relaxation response, activating the parasympathetic nervous system. That's what this video is mostly going to be about, right? Is activating the parasympathetic nervous system. How can we not only stop the negative from taking over, but flip the switch completely to the healing aspect in our bodies? It is totally possible. Don't lose hope. So in activating the parasympathetic nervous system, we have to deal with and process our emotions pretty quickly. Harboring those emotions deep down inside, they don't go anywhere, trust me. They get buried in all the nooks and crannies, deep in the attics of our souls. And when we can take a moment to stop and process those emotions right when they're happening or shortly thereafter, then we're able to not let them harbor. They don't collect dust and start to fester, right? So that's one of the best ways to just stop that negativity from brewing, right? Essential oils can be used in a lot of calming practices to help trigger that relaxation response within the body. Inhaling essential oils can stimulate the limbic system. This is an area of our brain which helps promote long-term memory. It is connected with long-term memory. So when we have a smell, the limbic system is activated. That's why we have a lot of connection with smells from childhood or from an event or a person. We remember their smell very vividly. That's part of our limbic system. So when we inhale essential oils, we're able to activate that limbic system. So what can be a tool is utilizing these essential oils when you're safe at home in your space, working through your relaxation practices. Because then what's going to happen is you're going to develop that connection of relaxation with the scent. So then when you're out and about, when you're stuck at the grocery store and then you get that email from the school and things start to swirl and set in, you're able to sort of grab that essential oil, hopefully you keep them on you, and you'll have that breath of that connection oil. That oil that you already remember from being home and being safe, and you can smell that, you can apply it however you're going to use it, and then have that relaxation response connected with it, and that can help you when you're out and about. I wanted to go through each one of these and how they can help us a little bit. Lemon can help us to detoxify anger. I'm not sure how everybody else is feeling, but anger runs high in my heart right now. Every time that a choice is taken away or a different change occurs, my sort of first response is anger. And that's something that is very poisonous to our emotions. It actually is housed right in our liver. We store a lot of our anger in our liver. So perhaps rubbing a little tiny drop of lemon over the liver or taking in some long, deep breaths of lemon can help to detoxify that anger. Tea tree oil is a purifying oil. It's a powerful antimicrobial and antifungal. And when used in aromatic therapeutic ways, it can help to purify your emotions. If you're just sort of feeling like your thinking is rotting or stinking thinking, sometimes we call it in the recovery field. If you're having this, some tea tree, maybe mixed with some other oils. Tea tree has a pretty powerful scent. It's really good mixed with some other oils, might help to sort of purify our thinking process. Lavender. Of course, most people know lavender. When they think of essential oils, I think that's the first one that comes to mind because it's in most beauty products or things that you're gonna associate with essential oils because it is the king of relaxation, or the queen, I'm not sure. But it is absolutely the most go-to and powerful essential oil for relaxation. So that's just good for any process that you're gonna go through, like meditating or praying, doing yoga, anything, journaling. All of these things are ways that we process our emotions, right? Deal with our thinking. Any of these thinking practices would be enhanced with just a little bit of lavender, even in a diffuser like this. Rosemary can improve mental clarity and focus during ritual. It also can ease anxiety and amplify critical thinking skills. So this is helpful if the mind is swirling, right? We have a lot going on nowadays. There's so many things swirling through our head and we get very distracted. So like, oh yeah, I would love to deal with that anger I felt about the school email, but right now I'm thinking about the other 10 things that just came up. A nice whiff of rosemary, putting a little bit on the wrists in this manner would really help to clarify the thinking, to laser focus. No, right now I'm going to deal with that anger. I'm going to process it. I'm going to ask myself why I felt it, etc., etc. Orange is a happy oil. Orange is such a fabulous oil. Who doesn't need more happy, right? All the time. It reduces depression and anxiety, and it increases, obviously, just a happy feeling. It's sort of the gray away oil, if you will. And of course, living here where I live in Michigan, there is plenty of gray days, and we need all of the tools in our toolbox we can to combat that feeling. You know, going through a pandemic on top of transitioning into winter, this is going to be tough for us. We need to identify that. We need to have an arsenal right at our fingertips, ready to go for when these things happen. Orange is the best for just chasing away those winter blues. Peppermint. This is amazing for focus and energy. It also helps to just sort of get you out of any funk. If you're feeling distracted or blah, sort of depressed, a nice drop of peppermint on the back of the neck, that'll wake you right up. It's really good when you have tasks to do, like if you need to do some housework or do some actual work and you're just feeling very flighty and a little bit sort of digging your heels in, like I don't want to do that right now. A little bit of peppermint can really get you over that hump. So I wanted to do an exercise just for a couple of moments about diaphragmatic breath. The reason that this is important with this video is because the diaphragmatic breath actually activates two areas in our body where there are parasympathetic nervous system receptors. So these kick on that relaxation response. There are parasympathetic nervous receptors in our lips and in the lower lobes of our lungs. So when you take these deep breaths through the nose only, leaving the lips sealed, it sort of tells the body, I'm safe, I'm not breathing through my mouth, there is no external danger around me. And when you're taking deep, long breaths, activating those lower lobes, then the body also knows that I'm safe, I'm not running from anything, there is no danger, and we can kick on the relaxation response, which we know heals our body and our well-being. So really quick, remember it's lips sealed, breathing through the nose, and we're gonna breathe that air in directly to the lower lobes of the lungs first. So imagining that the air is like a bullseye going straight to the bottom of the lungs. Breathe in. Remember, we're keeping the lips sealed on the inhale and the exhale. And make sure the exhale is full and complete. You're actually pushing in the belly to expel those last bits of air. Breathe in. Now, of course, this exercise is awesome on its own. Those receptors do get triggered when you are doing it simply as I have done it now, but imagine if you had a diffuser nearby, or imagine if you were breathing in some oils as you were going through this. A wonderful exercise to help utilize these oils and help calm our nervous system, quiet those thoughts, heal the mind. That's all for now. See you in the next video.